So I'm going to start. We really are on 16a by the Mishnah. I'm just going to work back, speak outside what we mentioned yesterday. At the very end, yesterday we spoke about digging out a sukkah from a pile of wheat or grain, and the Gemara said that usually that's if I totally create a full sukkah out of a pile of grain, as digging it out, it's forbidden because that's a problem of tasa and also that's a problem from the prepared and not from something which is the problem that you didn't prepare, so something which was prepared. However, the Gemara said that if there's a tefach, if there's about a fist high of space under the sukkah, if there's already a dugout area, which is a tefach high, 7 tefachim in a little bit, by 7 tefachim in a little bit. So at this point, we already have an oil. A tefach is an oil. You have the right length and width of the coast of the sukkah. The only thing you're missing is the height. So when you start digging down, you're not really creating schach. The schach already was there. It was a tefach high, so already fulfilled the issue, any issue of tasav menasui. So when I dig down, now it's no longer a problem, and the sukkah will be valid. If you ask how is it that there's a cavity in a pile of hay, which is a tefach high by 7 tefachim wide by 7 tefachim length, I don't know. That's how they piled it up, and as they piled it up, it worked its way up. So you have the little bit of the wall, the tefach oil, and then cover the top. So therefore, if you dig down, you're ready. There's no problem past the Manasseh. Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we're on the Mishnah on 16a, and we're going to start. I think someone else has joined us. Judge Hazelton. Good morning. Okay, we're on the Mishnah on 16a. If we have walls, we're on the Mishnah on 16a towards the bottom. If we put up walls from top to bottom, if it's higher from the ground, 3 tefachim is going to be puzzle. So you have to have your walls within 3 tefachim of the ground because the wall has to go to the ground. But with the laws of lavud, it'll take care of the problem, and then we could say that we could look as if the walls already is on the ground. Milamata limala. How do you go upwards? How high does the sukkah have to be going from the ground up? It has to be 10 tefachim. So that's the Tanakama. The Tanakama says that going upwards, you need 10 tefachim from the ground up. It happens to be the bottom part could be open at least up to 3 tefachim high, and then you can utilize lavud. We'll also learn about having a goat having to go underneath. At that point, it makes it possible because if a goat could walk straight under a sukkah, I wouldn't call that a good wall in any circumstance. So therefore, it has to be 10 high, and it has to be at least 3 to the ground. That's the Tanakama. Just like we say that the wall has to be 10 tefachim high from the ground. If I'm working down, if my sukkah has a wall sort of hanging from the ceiling, if it's 10 tefachim down, it's kosher. So it doesn't have to be 10 tefachim from the ground. You need 10 tefachim either from the ground or from the ceiling, from the roof. So the Tanakama holds has to be 10 tefachim on the ground. The sukkah has to be ground level up at least 10 tefachim to have a solid wall. But the Rabbi Yossi holds no. Just like you can have a sukkah 10 up, I could also build the walls 10 tefachim high from the ceiling and let it fall down. I could start building my wall from the ceiling down and let it go down 10 tefachim, and then you are fine. And the reason is, just like we say that, now remember, why is it that the wall 10 tefachim high is okay? It's not a wall really. You need a wall to the ceiling, to your roof. So on that, we utilize the idea of good asik. At that point, we're going to say that the walls we look at the walls going straight up to Shemayim, right? Once you have 10 tefachim, we say go straight up. We utilize it. So according to the Tanakama, it's only up, not down. According to Rabbi Yossi, we're going to say once that wall is going downward, we look at it going straight down. It says the Gemara, what's the machlekes between Tanakama and at what point do they argue Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi? Now, Mar Savar Mechitza Tulia Miteres, Mar Savar Mechitza Tulia Einu Miteres. The answer is going to be that the Tanakama holds that the Mechitza, which is Tanakama, I guess it's Rabbi Yossi. You put Rabbi Yossi second. The article says who's the first Tanakama. Who's Mar? Mar says a Mechitza Tulia hanging from the top is going to be Matur. Mar Savar Mechitza Tulia Einu Miteres. And the second one holds that, who I think would be Tanakama, that the Mechitza Tluya, a hanging Mechitza is not going to work and it has to work its way up. Okay. Now, Tanan Hassam, we learned over there, Bar Shbein Shtei Chatzeros, that if we have a bar, if you have a pit between two Chatzeros, so the case is, and happens to be, those who are watching get to see a picture. I don't put the pictures out, and you're just too small to show anyway. But our school should have stuff, right? Yeah. So the case is that there is a chutzner, there's a two courtyards, and they have a pit, a well, something in between where they hold water. So the question is, are you allowed to draw up water on Shabbos? So there is a mechitza going taller than cross on top. Now the question is that enough? So here we go. Now the first one holds in Malam and B'Shabbos can also la mechitza sart can also la mechitza sart tfachim bein milmala bein lambata bein b'toich oidnei. That according to the first one, the only ways permitted to draw water is that mechitza going over the water, over the pit, which is way over the pit, the edge of the pit. That is not enough. Rather, what we have to do is you have to have a mechitza in the pit itself. It could be above the water level, 10 tfachim, or it could be from the edge of the pit down 10 tfachim, but you need something in the actual pit. We're on the last line of 16a. That is the first opinion. Rabbi Shimon says, and now we turn to 16b. But however, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says that you don't need, according to the first opinion, you need both, right? You have the mechitza of 10, not only going from the, it has to be going from the, so you need a mechitza of 10 going, hold on. Yeah, so it looks like the Tanakhama says you need you need a mechitza going from the water level, all the way from the water level up, plus you need to go from the lip down. You need both. However, the Rav Shimon Shlefish says, Rav Shimon Gamliel says, he says that it has to be milamalo, so amir milamata. Okay, let me clarify this. This is the case that according to the Tanakama, it looks like there's two types of ways to build this to finish off this mechitza in the in the bar, in the pit. Either you have from the water level up, you have 10 tefachim, or you have from the lip of the pit down 10 tefachim, and that's not going to go ahead. Or you have something going down from the lip. Beis Shammai says that you have to have from the top. Bitzil says you have to have it from the bottom. So according to Beis Shammai, it has to be going from the lip down. And Beisil says it has to be going from the water level up. Rav Yehuda says, Rav Yehuda says you don't need anything. This wall, which is flying across the top, is more than enough. Now, Amar Rabba Bar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Echanan, Rav Yehuda b'shita Rav Zesi Amar Damar Mechitza Tluy Mitares. It looks like Rabbi Yehuda is going like this idea in Hilchos Shabbos, that Rabbi Yehuda is the one that holds like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi had said in our Mishnah that mechitza hanging from the top of the sukkah 10 tefachim down, we look, it's good enough. Therefore, by Hilchos Shabbos, by this bar, when you have just this mechitza running on top of the bar, on top of the pit, that's enough. But what do you mean? When I'm drawing water, I need the mechitza, I need the mechitza, the wall in the pit. They hold, since I have something going across, it goes down straight into the water. It's not going to be a problem. So we want to associate Rabbi Yossi, our Mishnah in Hilchos Sukkos, to Rabbi Yossi, to Rabbi Yehuda in Hilchos Shabbos? And the answer is why it's not so. Lo Rabbi Yehuda savalak Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi lo savalak Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda have two totally different opinions, and you can't mix up the two. Lo Rabbi Yehuda savalak Rabbi Yossi, at kind of like Amar Rabbi Yehuda hasam ela beiruvi beiruv chatzeres. The Rabbanan, that in the case of Shabbos, he's willing to be lenient and say that the wall, this mechitza, the wall going across the top of the bar of the pit works on Shabbos, because Shabbos, and also we're going to say that we look at the wall going downwards. We look at the wall that it's able. We look at the wall on top as if it goes down to the pit itself. That's because we're going to be lenient, because that's only rabbinic. The worst case scenario, you're not transgressing any biblical commandment. It's only a rabbinical problem. Therefore, we could be lenient and say that we look at the wall as when you have a wall hanging high up, we look at it as it goes straight down. Sukkah daraisa light. But in the case of a daraisa, which is sukkah is daraisa, it's a biblical commandment. In such a case, we only say a wall goes upwards. So therefore, not necessarily does Rabbi Yehuda hold, even though it's true, Rabbi Yehuda and Shabbos does hold that mechitza goes down by the case of the pit. However, in our case, it's not necessarily really hold of that by the case of sukkah. The sukkah is daraisa. Well, Rabbi Yossi said like Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi does not. We're not going to say that Rabbi Yossi holds like Rabbi Yehuda, because meaning Rabbi Yossi holds by works by sukkah, not necessarily will agree to Rabbi Yehuda that it works by Shabbos. The only reason we let him, the only reason Rabbi Yehuda would be willing to say it is because a sukkah, the Rabbi Yossi says, because a sukkah is a positive commandment. Shabbos the Isser Skila light, but Shabbos, which is a loisase, it's a negative commandment, and if one actually transgresses it, he gets killed. And that's such a case, it's so stringent that maybe Rabbi Yehuda will say that only by sukkah and not by you only say by sukkah and not by Shabbos. Now, yeah.
First word of the line now, Rabbi?
The mitzvahs. Now, if you ask a question, it's a little funny because originally we said that Rabbi Yehuda won't apply his halach of Shabbos to Sukkah, because Sukkah is a daraisa. And then on the second case, we say that Rabbi Yossi wouldn't apply his case of Sukkah to Shabbos, because Shabbos is skila, but it's sort of funny. Skila means it's daraisa. So we're using both sides of the coin. We're saying he's not holding him because Shabbos, because if you want to apply to Sukkah because Sukkah is a daraisa, at the same time he doesn't hold a Sukkah, a Shabbos, because it's skila. So the answer is, Rashi said, that I'm just reading Rashi, this opinion held that even though it's true, it's only rabbinic, but any rabbinic decree which is based on a da'araisa, now it is a da'araisa, right? The reason why you cannot carry from chatzar to chatzar because the two private domains, you're afraid you're going to go out to the public domain and carry, and then it's all over for you. So therefore, since it's a da'araisa, it's a decree guarding such a catastrophic event. If you go ahead and you carry in a public domain, therefore we're being much more stringent. It's a negative. Negative will end up being skila, as opposed to sukkah, which is only asay. So okay, we're willing to be lenient. Which, I mean, I don't know the answer to what I'm about to ask. But like at the end of the day, then why it doesn't answer? It's not answering why, right? Why is it that a sukkah? What's the difference between a sukkah a wall going down and a wall going up? Essentially, what's the difference? If you look at it going up, let's look at it as going down. Only difference I see is that a wall going down, you don't really see the wall. So when it comes to Shabbos, it's not a good, like the point of the wall is also not only to create it, it's also torn. You can't go past this point, maybe. But I don't know.
Building, when you see a wall, like you naturally extend up more than
that's
you,
true.
like,
that's true. Yeah.
And when you're building,
Fair
you
enough.
start.
You don't look up. You just see. You go straight. I mean, when you're going down, you just go straight. And if you ask, we use tower lines for Eruv because that's not. We don't look as walls. Those are entrance ways. which is a lot more. It's a way to get around. Which also you create a sukkah with entranceways as well. It's also not a problem in that way. Okay, Vim Timsa. Now Vim Taimar. Now about to go into the story. Vim Taimar. If you say Maisa Shenasa Pitipayr Almi Al Pimi Nasa, we're about to bring on a story in Tipayri that took place in Tipayri. Tipayri was a city next to Tiberia, where a lot of, it's across Shas, across Gemara, we always hear stories about Tipayri. Now, who, and it got destroyed. I think the Romans totally, it got wiped out by the Romans at one point. Alpimi Minasa. So on who authorized the following story. Now, and does the preface also, definitely Rashi says it, that Tipayri, the Rosh Yeshiva of Tipayri, the one who led the city of Tipayri, the halachic decision maker was Rabbi Yosi. So we're going to assume anything that comes out of our following story is Rabbi Yosi in our Mishnah. So it doesn't have to somehow apply to Rabbi Yosi. And Rabbi Yosi is the one that says that a wall could go down. You could build a high up wall and look as if it goes straight down. So what's the story? So what's the story? Lo Yalpi Rabbi Yosi. There you go. Is it not Rabbi Yosi? Rabbi Yosi was Rosh Yeshiva. So any story about the same must be attributed to Rabbi Yosi's halachic decision. Ella, that question mark, isn't that who it is? LLP Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yosi. Is Rabbi Shmuel his son? After Rabbi Yosi passed away, his son took over, and we're going to have the following story that he authorized something. He authorized the following to take place. Yeah. Okay. So what happened? Umay Maisa. So what is the story? Asa Ravdimi. Now again, Rashi adds in a lot to the story because it goes straight into the case of what he said. Asa Ravdimi Amar Pamakas. One time, Shachachu, they forgot. Lo Yiviu Sefer Torah Erev Shabbos. Now, what do you mean they forgot to bring the Sefer Torah from Erev Shabbos? Why? Where do they forget to bring it from? Usually, we keep our Sefer Torah in the shul. So, what's the issue? So over there, Rashi explains. I'm just going to read out Rashi. That they used to go ahead and hide the Sefer Torah in their house, but they had nachrim because of the foreigners. It was dangerous to keep it in the shul because otherwise they were afraid that they would break into the shul and desecrate the Sefer Torah. So they keep it in the house. I said, now, and they forgot to bring it over Erev Shabbos, and the case happens to be at this house was either in the we had a courtyard. And usually the courtyard has 3 houses around it. One of the houses was a shul, and one was the house where they kept it. Or alternatively, it could be that it was the shul was in one chutzner, and across the alleyway was the house in a different chutzner, in a different courtyard, either the same courtyard or the same alleyway. And whatever the case was, being as may, they forgot to make an erev chatzeros. They forgot to make an erev. Therefore, they couldn't carry it from the house over to the shul, whether it might be a courtyard or alleyway. So now what do we do? So they came to Rav Dimi said, the next morning, the Shabbos day, so the case is that they went ahead and they stretched out sheets across posts on the ground, and they sort of created a mechitza from the doorway of the house straight across to the shul. That sort of connected and made it a private domain, and that took care of the problem of what to make an eruv. Now, on that we ask, but how could they go ahead and create walls on Shabbos? Where did they bring it from? We just said there was no eruv. So how did they ever get it to the chutzner, to the courtyard, or to the alleyway to create this barrier? Rather, it was already there. It was already there. Part of the case was it already was stretched out between the two. Now, what does it have to do with our proof? So we want to say that if it's true that that there was sadinim, there was mats or some type of material stretched out from the Sefer Torah, we're going to say that it was we're understanding from this that it was a mechitza tuluya. It was a mechitza which was high up, right? So that's our story. The story was in Tzipayri, they stretched out a mechitza and then they used it for Shabbos, and it was higher up from the ground than 3 tefachim. And we looked at it, it went down. It was high up and it went downwards. Now that we had a question, how could that be Rabbi Yossi? We just said that works for Sukkah, but Rabbi Yossi argues when it comes necessarily. We want to say that Rabbi Yossi wouldn't necessarily agree to apply this to the case of Shabbos. That's what we said. So Rabbi Yossi and Shabbos, two separate things. Shabbos is a daraisa. How could you go ahead? It comes to skila. Rabbi Yossi wouldn't agree. So now we ask. We have a whole story that he did do it. Answer is no, it was his son.
So if we got to move the Torah to the shul before Shabbos, but how did they know to build these walls before Shabbos?
It happened to be there.
They just happened to be there.
It happened to be there.
Okay.
Yeah, the Gemara says. The Gemara writes that matzu they found sadinim. The view is Sefer. They happened to find it, and so I does Rashi explain if it was already there? Hold on. Yeah, I think literally means they found it, and it was there. They found already. They found they found material already, sheets already on the post. So either that could mean that already was stretched out, or it was just hanging, and they were able to take it and move it less than 4 tefachim. As long as you move it less than 4 amas, you're not really carrying, and put it onto the wall and create it. Now that can't be either, because you're not allowed to create mechitzos on Shabbos. You're not allowed to create a wall. You can't create a halachic wall on Shabbos. It's a problem. Therefore, I'm assuming it was there all before Shabbos.
So actually, that was the question I was just thinking about. Aren't they actually changing the status of the space at that point, and it's already Shabbos?
Right. So it has to be. It was there already before. It was. I have to. Archel explains it, but it must be that these mechitzos were there the entire time, and it was high up enough that people could walk underneath it. They never really posed a barrier to the alleyway, to the chutzner, and it was there. They found that was there from before. But the whole point of the story is to prove that you could do this on Shabbos. You could create this hanging wall on Shabbos for the halachas of Shabbos for carrying, and Rabbi Yossi was the leader there. And Aaron says no, it was his son. Okay. Now we're going to go onwards. So we are up to Amar Rav Chisda. First word on the line is Sefer Torah. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Dimi, Machzelas Arba'a Umashu. If I have mats which are 4 tefachim plus a little, Muteres Besukkah Mishum Doifin. I'm permitted to place it on the wall and create a sukkah with it. How could one go ahead and create a wall with 4.5 tefachim mat? Don't you need 10 tefachim to create a wall? So what you do is you hang it in the middle, and and you have 3 tefachim on bottom. You have open 3 on bottom. And also you have empty 3 tefachim on top. So it's 3 on top of airspace, 4 tefachim of wall, 4 in the middle, and then you have another 3 tefachim on the bottom. So the reason why it's a little bit so, and therefore with that you're going to get, go ahead and get your 10. Right, 4 plus 3 plus 3 is going to give you 10, and a little bit of 4 is to make sure that's not exactly 3, because you don't want to go 3 plus, because then you're gonna not have loved. So you have loved on top, you have a real wall, and loved on bottom. Now on that we ask, I'll just read that again. Tell you the you have 3 open on bottom. You have 3 open on top. Anything less than 3 is lavud. Now that would say pshita, of course. What's so great about that? We know lavud, so we could have done it ourselves. Lavud on top, lavud on bottom, something in the middle. You got 10. So now the same. I might think the more answers. Now the same. Lavud amrinon. We say 1 case of lavud. Trey lavud amrinon. We're not going to go and apply 2 like magical extensions. Just 1 we're willing to do, not 2. No, we're willing to go ahead and apply 2 of them. Now, just to point out, if you do this, that means you have an exactly a 10 tefachim high sukkah, because you need 3 with 4, but the top 3 has to hit something. So either you have, I guess you could put a beam there as well, or you can have your actual top. Now, may say, we're going to ask the question. We're going to ask a question. Now, Machzelas Shiva, we're going to ask a question of Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda just said that you can have 3, 4, and 3. Have a mat of 4, then 3 and 3. May say Machzelas Shiva, Umashu Materis Besukkah Mishum Doifin. We have a Mishnah, we have a brisa that tells us that a mat of 7 and a little bit is permitted to be used as a wall. Now we see from here that it's only 7. Why are you telling us only 7? Because you could say better, say 4. It's cooler to say 4 than 7. It's more of a chiddush to tell us 4 than 7. So it's only 7, and you can't use 4. This is a proof against Rav Chisda that says you can do 3, 4, and 3. Rav Chisda says you can use 4. Seems like from this brisa you only can do 7, and you can't say love it twice. You have to use 7 and have love it either on top or on bottom. No, we're talking about a big sukkah. That we're having a big sukkah, and therefore you're not going to have love it on top. So you need 3 on bottom, and then you're going to have the love it on top. Then you're going to have the love it on bottom, and only then you need the plus 7 because the sukkah is way higher than tefachim. So if your sukkah is 20 tefachim high, so you're not going to be able to do this 3, 4, 3 because the top 3 is not hitting anything. You have an extra 13 tefachim until you get to the top of the ceiling. Now, I guess you could put a beam there, but that's not the case. Therefore, we're saying it's a big sukkah, so you have to have 7 and then only have the 3 on bottom. Then, if so, then what do you come to tell us? Furthermore, so of course, if I have a wall of 7 with 3 tefachim on bottom open for lavud, of course that works. So what's this halacha telling us that you could? What's this great new news that accuses sukkah with a doitin with a wall of 7? Mike Mashmalan, the Mishal Shalom defanes milamala lamata karabjesi. The chiddush is that when I have 7 tefachim, I could go from the top down. I could have my schach. We're talking about a large sukkah. I could have my schach. I could have 3 tefachim of open ear, and then I put my 7, and the rest from there to the bottom is going to be all open. So therefore, I learn like Rabbi Yesi that a wall could go from the schach down. So again, I have this chiddush telling me like Rabbi Yesi. So we have a brisa like Rabbi Yesi telling us that we have the schach, we have 3 tefachim plus lavud. At the 3 tefachim mark, or a little less than 3 tefachim, we start to 7. And then I have 10 tefachim of a wall hanging from the top of the schach down, and then whatever, another 20, 30, 40 tefachim down to the ground works, which according to the Tanakh did not work, but this is a proof to Rabbi Yesi. Now, Amar Rabbi Yesi, Pas Arba Umashuhu, Mater B'Sukkah, Mishum Daifin. Now, we're going to, once we spoke about this case of lavud, we're going to say another case of lavud. Now we're talking about, till now we're talking about filling the wall from top down. Now we're talking about going sideways. So if I have a board, which is the width of, it's the height of the sukkah, but the width is going to be 4 plus a little, it's going to work, it's going to create a wall because on my wall, now I'm working this way. I have the side wall, I have 3 tefachim, then I have 4.5. 4.5 plus 3 gives me, that's going to be enough. That's going to be enough to give me a sukkah. And then it'll get me to 7, right? Before we're talking about 10 tefachim high, but a sukkah only has to be 7 wide. So if I have 3 tefachim with 4, it's going to give me enough to get me to 7 for the width of the wall. So therefore, it's coming to tell me we could utilize lavud plus the wall on the side. Now, Mike Mashimon, again, what's the chiddush? Of course, we learned this before. That's how you create a small sukkah. You couldn't create a small sukkah. Lavud, of course, works on the walls itself to close in the wall. So, shir mesach shukha katana shiva. So, what is coming to tell me that even when it's a even if when it's a sukkah katana, even when it's only 7, lavud could come and help me. Yeah, that lavud could come help me create a small sukkah. That's all. I think that's all. I don't see any more of a chiddush. Shir mesach shukha katana shiva. But the chiddush is coming to tell me that you could utilize lavud to give me. No, that's not what's coming to tell me. It's just coming to inform me what is the shear of the small size sukkah. The small sukkah has to be 7 because we said you have to have 4 and a little. 4 and a little plus lavud gives you 7 and a little. It's telling us what is the shear. It's coming to teach us halacha. What is the shear of a small sukkah? It's 7. Okay, now we're turning. Any questions? Okay, we're on the top of Yizayim and Aleph by the Mishnah. Now we're talking about the space, which is we're talking about the space which is above the sukkah. We're talking about the schach area. So if I have, we'll get to this. We remember Diskind Akuma, the wall that sort of bends. Now we always kept saying that will bend up to 4 amos into if I pass schach on 4 amos into the sukkah itself. We're willing to say that the wall is going to bend. This case, if you read it just regularly, it says that you only the schach has to be within 3 tefachim of the walls. Now the case over here is because we don't use we're not using the Diskind Akuma. The bending wall is because it's ear space. And we'll see that in a minute. We only utilize the bending wall when there's also schach, when there's something there, just invalid. But there's ear space. The schach has to be within 3 tefachim of your sukkah. So when you're building your sukkah, and your schach is in case of when you only have 3 walls, right? Let's say you have let's do a 3-wall sukkah, and your schach is 3 tefachim from one of the walls. You no longer have and there's ear space. It's no longer valid. If you have 4 walls and only one of them have, it's still not a problem because the other 3 walls have a schach. But in the case, or you have 4 walls and only 2 sides don't have to. And it's very, very common. If it gets very windy outside, it could blow the mats. It could sort of like shift the mats over. So you do have to be careful that there's no ear space between less than 3 tefachim of air space between the schach and the sukkah. And you can't, and for sure you can't eat under it either way, even if it's less than 3 tefachim. You have to make sure to be under the schach altogether. Now, so if since we can't apply the bending wall rule in this specific case, therefore, because there's nothing there, therefore, it's going to be a problem. And if it's more than 3 tefachim. Now, this teaches us something, and Rashi says this, that the idea of Diskind Akuma, the idea of this bending wall, is the way to understand it. The application, the way to understand the application of it is that obviously has to be is that the wall, the ceiling is an extension of the wall. We look at it, even as we look at it's going like as we look at its bending, we're just saying that the pasal schach. It's not like we're ignoring the pasal schach. We have 4 tefachim of pasal schach. It's not like we're ignoring the pasal schach. We're saying we're incorporating the pasal schach into the wall. And therefore, it's not like I have a wall of whatever 10 tefachim. I have 10 tefachim plus whatever the pasal schach is. Now, if you ask, let's say I have a 20 amos sukkah, which is the maximum sukkah, plus I have Diskind Akuma, does that mean my wall is more than 20 amos now? Because it's 20 amos up. It's 4 amos that way, so I could be up to 24 amos. I don't think that's a problem. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure someone asks the question. Okay, back into the Mishnah, second line. If I have a hole in my roof, and I put schach on it, then that's 4. Then it's up to 4 amos. Again, that's what we're talking about till now. That's when I have pasal schach. I have a hole in my roof. That hole in the roof has to be, and I put schach on top of it. That hole in the roof has to be at least within 4 amos, 8 feet or 7 feet, 6 feet, however you do it, from the wall. In that case, that's when we apply Diskind Akuma. We apply the bending wall rule. Now, if I have a courtyard and around the courtyard I have a second story veranda, or I have some type of porch going around all 3 sides, or like I think of the motel, the second story of a motel, where everyone walks outside onto the porch to walk downstairs, and I have a surrounding 3 walls. So I say, great, I have a sukkah here. I put beams from one side of the porch, from one porch to the other porch through the courtyard, and I put schach all over it. That's fine, as long as the porch is 4 amos from the actual wall. Sukkah gedayla shekfu b'davar she'im mesachin. If I have a regular size sukkah, a high sukkah, which is surrounded for some reason, whatever the reason is. I have a sukkah, and I have more than a full size sukkah, because if it's the exact size sukkah, 7 by 7, then you can't have any pasal schach on the side, because then you're not going to have nothing 7 by 7 anymore, because you're moving it inwards, because you see Diskind Akuma. So therefore, we're talking about a large size sukkah and there's sort of whatever the reason is, all around the sides of it is pasal schach. So again, over here, pasal schach could be around it up until 4 amos. So sukkah gedayla shekfu b'davar she'im mesachin by emesh tachtot 4 amos pesula. If there's more than 4 tefachim, then we're going to get. Then we're going to not have it will be kosher. Okay. Now we're going to go. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Okay. We're up to the Gemara. Kol Hani Mili. Why do we have three cases? We have three cases basically in the same thing. So you have a hole in your roof and you fill it with Daifin Akuma. We're willing to say if you have a porch around the courtyard and you put beams across it, we'll say Daifin Akuma. We say if you have a big sukkah, and for whatever the reason is, there's puzzle schach under there's something puzzle under the schach, whatever it is, and again you have Daifin Akuma. So you have three different reasons. Why do you need three? Tzricha. We need all three. If you have the case of a house with a hole in it, at least in this case, the walls of the house are real walls. They're full established walls, and you use them as walls. But in the case of the chutzner, the courtyard, where you have the porch around it, and you're putting beams across and putting schach on top, in that case, it's not real walls, right? It's just really a porch surrounding it, which is not really walls. So you don't really live in the courtyard. I might think those are not valid walls. Therefore, we say no, they are valid walls. If you say the first case of the house, in the case of the courtyard, because you're actually utilizing schach kasher. But a sukkah gedayla, which you are going ahead and you are surrounding it with something which you cannot put schach on, and according to Rashi, it means to say is that in this specific case, the sukkah gedayla, what you're surrounding is something which is it's a type of a schach, but it's a type of schach which is possible, meaning it's min. Rashi writes, hold on. The sukkah schach possible who emalay tzricha. Yeah, I think Rashi wants to say that the thing surrounding it is a min kosher. The schach itself is a problem. Yeah, that's different. Okay, so at least the house and the courtyard, the area surrounding it's wood, right? So it's made of something which you could actually utilize for schach. Happens to be the problem is either because of Xerish Tikra, it's Xer because it's solid beams and therefore it's a problem that looks like a roof, or it's Tasla and also, which is also for sure it's a problem Tasla and also because it already was there way before and it's not going to end up working out. You didn't put it up for the shape of schach. In such a case, at least the house, which is made of a wooden ceiling, and the courtyard where it has wooden walkway, the wooden is it's min kosher. It's made of some type of kosher stuff. While the case of the sukkah, the puzzle schach surrounding is metal. In that case, we're not willing to say Daifin Akuma for metal, which is totally out of the orbit of schach altogether. So therefore, we have to tell you the last case to teach you that in the case of the sukkah gedayla, even though the puzzle schach surrounding the sukkah on the top, it's not mint. It's not from a material that technically could be used for schach just as a technicality. Like in the other two cases, it's totally puzzle. It can never be used. That we say we need all three cases. Okay, I think we're going to end here. Yeah. Any questions?